Live from Television Hill in Baltimore, Maryland, you're listening to The Jimmy Mathis Show.
I'll tell you something else that came out of that little Politico report. I did not realize the shambles that Barack Obama had left the Democratic Party coming out of 2012. Former City Mayor Catherine Pugh joining the program after the 12 o'clock news. Right now we are joined by Maryland Congressman Andy Harris. Maryland Congressman Chris Van Hollen. Good morning, Congressman. How you doing? We are joined right now by former Governor Bob Ehrlich. Good morning, Governor. How you doing?
Good morning, buddy. Happy New Year.
All right, we are very proud to present the GOP gubernatorial debate. Governor Larry Hogan joins the program. Good morning, Governor. How you doing?
Now, a Jimmy Mathis exclusive, The Stone Zone, featuring Roger Stone.
We are joined by Baltimore City Mayor Catherine Pugh.
Good afternoon, Jimmy. How are you?
Baltimore City Police Commissioner Kevin Davis. Commissioner, thank you very much for your time this morning. I appreciate it. How you doing?
Good, Jimmy. Thanks for letting me break in. I know you had the mayor on a few minutes ago.
Mr. Donald Trump, thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. Great honor.
Thank you. Talk radio skews to the right, but when you get down to it, how many truly conservative talk shows are there on the air? I do think what Donald Trump is trying to do right now is big, and I think it would work. I come back to, with all due respect, Reagan once again when it comes to supply-side economics. There's two parts to this. First of all, bring down the self-imposed regulations that make it very difficult for America to thrive. That's on us. Has nothing to do with foreign policy, nothing to do with free trade, nothing really to do with taxes at the end of the day. Regulations that make it difficult for us to prosper here in America. Bring down those barriers.
Thank God for shows like this where the truth can be told.
At the Jimmy Mathis Show, we are unapologetic when it comes to conservatism. Trailblazers, aren't we? Don't we do things bigger and better than anybody else? Isn't there a little swag in our step? The Industrial Revolution, the westward expansion. See, this sounds corny, especially to younger Americans out there right now. All they hear about is the Trail of Tears, Jim Crow, segregation, and Kaepernick, who can't throw a football through a tire, taking a knee. That's the America that they know. Everything that the governor had recommended last week is the exact same thing the mayor and the police commissioner are doing. We're going to go after the trigger pullers. We need more officers on the street. We need to refocus our efforts. Has anything changed in the last week? Of course it hasn't. When in this country's history was the middle class dependent on Medicaid? When in the past was the middle class, first of all, Senator Cardin, I thought we lived in a classless society, but I'll go ahead and play along with you for a second. When was the middle class dependent on the federal government to provide health insurance, to provide housing? When was the middle class dependent on this entitlement environment? What are we fighting for? Why do so many service members voluntarily sign up to defend liberty, defend freedom? What do any of these words mean? Does the average American even know what a right is? Do they understand the American Revolution? Do they understand what is included within the Bill of Rights? Do they understand individual liberty? Do they understand negative liberty? Do they understand the role of government? At a time where you have NFL players that are taking a knee during the national anthem. Protesting what? But how are you going to get people to voluntarily sign up and serve to protect something that the majority of Americans don't even know what it is? And politicians that can't articulate it. And the majority of them definitely don't believe in it. You want to put together a select committee and then your next sentence you're blaming the Republicans? How many Republicans are running major U.S. cities across the country, Congressman? Wait, what Republicans do you want to bring to the table? What Republicans are running Baltimore, Chicago, Detroit? If you really care about all this stuff, if you really care about gun violence, you're going to blame Donald Trump? So New Jersey, in case you haven't been keeping up on politics, that's Chris Christie, which we can all agree is a huge winner. And actually, the last time he got any accolades was going back to Hurricane Sandy when he was hugging it out with Obama on the boardwalk. Jersey, by the way, in case you haven't been there recently, is doing lovely. And if there's ever been political poison, that would be Chris Christie. Do I need to say more about Chris Christie? So here's the question. Now, I'm perusing Real Clear Politics. Not for this article. I stumbled across the article, but I wanted to see what Donald Trump's approval rating was, because the way this is being framed right now is that this is a rebuking of Donald Trump. Donald Trump right now is polling at 37%, which is not good, especially just after 100 days in office. That's not good at all. Well, Congress is polling at 9% approval rating. She was able to buy it. It was a crippled organization. It was in financial chaos. It was in debt. This shows the dangers of being in debt. $20 trillion, $235 trillion in unfunded liabilities, $500 billion in annual deficits, stuff we talk about all the time. It puts you in a position of weakness, which is where the DNC is right now. And even if Donna Brazile knew what was going on, how many choices, how many options would she have had? Let's take her at face value for a second, ladies and gentlemen. So she walks in as the interim chair of the DNC after the disaster that is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she looks at the books. And she goes, oh my God, President Obama has put the DNC in debt by $20-some million to beat Mitt Romney, of all people, in a midterm election. What are we going to do while we are fighting for 2016? It is the redistribution of wealth, where Democrats believe that X amount of the dollars from the populace must be redistributed in whatever way that may look. And there's lots of different ways to do it. That money has to be spent. We saw it here in the state of Maryland when, Governor O'Malley had his big tax cuts, which meant we weren't going to raise the state budget more than X%. It was still going up, just not as much as we thought it would. There never are cuts. There is never fiscal responsibility. We're just not going to spend more of your hard-earned money. And what the senator is saying is, listen, whether it's health care, education, retirement, straight cash transfers, you can go on and on. There's all different kinds of ways of doing this, and cutting that number back is a non-starter, which means we're still going to that money away. We'll just go ahead and dump it onto our children. Reining and spending is not an option. It never is. Do you believe at the state level, at the federal level, that those we put in power are good stewards of our money? Do you believe that? Of course not. That really is the conversation right now today.